Hey guys, so it looks like the details for the server merges that are coming out over the next couple weeks have finally come out. This is not the region merges. Don't mistake this with the region merges. This is not like the NA East, NA West, South America region merge. No, that's not it. These are the server merges. So, for example, Antares moves into an area, for example. Aldebaran moves into Azina. Zosma merges in Una. So it's the specific servers within a region are getting merged together. And you can see all the details of those merges here on this patch notes. I'm not going to be going over the details here because it's pretty easy to see. You're just going to go to the website that I'm going to link in the description below to see where your server is merging into. But typically what's going to happen is a smaller server is going to be merging into a larger server. So what does that specifically mean for you? As your characters, your rosters, your EXP, all that stuff, right? So that is what we're going to be going over today. So whenever it comes to all of your characters, all your roster, EXP, all that stuff, there are a couple things that are going to be happening, and they're classified into a couple categories. So you have max, which means the items and systems are set to the highest value of either roster. Min, which means that it's the lowest value for either roster. Sum, which means the roster values are going to be added together. Union, which means they're going to be added together, but the duplicates are going to be removed. And reset, which means everything is going to be reset to default. Usually that doesn't happen with like materials or things like that. That's more of like settings and stuff. So that's what's going to happen. And those are kind of the categories. And there's a bunch of information that is on this website, but I have actually created a Excel spreadsheet over here that has everything basically combined and put together in a neat way that you can search through and see where your things are going. So for example, your achievements are going to be min-max, currency is going to be summed, achievement progress is going to be union, and card presets are going to be reset. So all these things are here for you guys to check out. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. That way that you guys don't have to read through this entire document to see what is happening to my, PvP MMR rank. You'll see it here. It's going to be min-maxed down below. So yeah. I am also going to be going through some specifics as well, though. For a couple things you can see right here, I've bolded and kind of put notes here to kind of explain everything going on. When you guys see this document, these things are not going to be bolded. These are just for me to keep track of what I want to go over. But you'll still see these notes here just to explain things a little bit more in detail and in depth. But the thing that I wanted to start with first is going to do with the characters. So when your rosters merge, you're going to have characters from different rosters. You're going to have some of you guys have characters in Rohendel and Mari, for example, right? And those are getting merged together. So what's going to happen to those characters? Well, what's going to happen is every one of your characters, so all your characters, they're going to be sent to a universal character storage. What is that? Well, it's kind of like when you're in game, you have this universal storage, right? It's when you haven't claimed something or, things are getting put on hold, then they'll be put into here, then you can bring them into your inventory. It's going to be the same thing with your characters. You're going to have a bunch of characters put into the storage, and then for the characters that you want to pull out, you can bring them out from the universal storage. Your character slots are going to be reset to the default 6, but don't worry, if you bought any character slot expansions, those will be given back to you and you just use them again. I think this is mainly because some people have like more than the maximum number of characters limit for your roster, but also like if you have, let's say, 6 characters in Rohendel, 6 characters in Mari, right, and you didn't buy any roster extensions, well, they're not just going to give you that roster storage for free, those character slots for free. They're going to put your characters all in universal storage. They're going to combine the 2 rosters, and you're going to have 6 character slots default. Even if you have 12 characters, they're only going to give you 6. Everything's going to be a universal storage, and then you're going to pull the characters out when you want to play them. So how does that system work where you're pulling out characters? Well, as I mentioned, there's going to be the universal storage. Let's say you have 12 characters and you have 6 character slots. Those 12 characters are going to be in universal storage, and you can pull them out and fill them into each of the 6 character slots. When you have all characters in the 6 character slots, they will be, you're going to be able to play them. Now, what's going to happen specifically is that when you bring them out and you designate them as a gold earner, you are and you do something that gives you gold, right? Let's say you do a raid on your character. That character goes from unbound to being bound. And then what that means is you cannot change that character and put it back into the universal storage anymore for that week. But when the week resets, you can change it back. But if you put a character in and you don't earn any gold on it, then you could kind of freely move that in and out of universal storage. And I'll kind of show you visually here, right? So let's say I have my universal storage here. My character is Seal Fan, right? That's my Soul Eater. So this is under universal storage at the moment. So if I pull it out of universal storage and I bring it as a gold earner, it'll be an unbound character. And what unbound means is I can move this back into universal storage if I wanted to. But when I do a gold earning event, quest, whatever, like a Legion raid, it becomes bound, which means I can no longer move this back into universal storage until the weekly reset happens. When the weekly reset happens, it goes back into unbound, and I can move this back into universal storage if I wanted to. Now, if you put something as a non-gold earner, then you can just move that back and forth freely whenever you wanted to. So hopefully that makes sense with this kind of like visual representation. If you take a character from universal storage, let's say you have a bunch of them, right? Pretend they're all different names. You put this in a gold earner, okay? You know, it's unbound. You do a Legion raid on it, it becomes bound. Let's say you want to do this one, right? It becomes a gold earner. You do it, it becomes bound. Gold earner, you do it, it becomes bound. And you can't move this stuff back into here. But this one, if you bring it as a gold earner, you don't do any Legion raids or anything that gives you gold yet, you can always move it back freely. And if you have something unbound, of course, or if you have something as a non-golder, it's always going to be unbound. So hopefully that made sense. So that's what happens to your characters in your roster. They're going to be put into universal storage. You're going to be able to move them freely in and out and swap them in each week. Of course, if you want all of them to be in your character roster, you can buy additional character slot extensions. But if you have over the maximum number of characters, then unfortunately you can't really move those characters out freely like that. You kind of have to swap them in and out. You can't always just like, you know, I'm going to bring this one in. You're going to have to swap in one that you know, hasn't earned gold yet, and then you got to swap it back into the universal storage and put it back. It's kind of like a sports team, right? You have players on the field, and then you have players on the bench for your backups. If your player on the field gets injured or you don't want to play with them anymore, you can swap them out, and then you can bring in somebody from the bench to replace that character. It's the same concept. So that is what's happening with the characters. And now the rest of this, I'm not going to go over every single thing, but as I mentioned earlier, I do have a couple of bolded ones that I wanted to go over specifically that could be a little bit confusing that I wanted to explain. And the first one has to do with the cards and engraving system. So with the engravings, how it's going to work is things are going to be either maximized or summed. And what I mean by that is if you have an engraving, for example, at a, you know, one roster has Grudge 12 and one roster has Grudge 9. Well, the higher one is going to be taking place. So you're just going to have Grudge 12. You're not going to have Grudge 12 plus Grudge 9 or something like that. That's not going to happen. In the other situation where, let's say you have Grudge 9, but you've thrown in 9 yellow books, right? So you're 9 out of 20 in yellow books in one server. In the other server, you also have Grudge 9, and you've thrown in, I don't know, 5 Grudge books, 5 Grudge 12 books. So you're 5 out of 20 on the other server. Well, you have 5 on one server, 9 on one server. What's going to happen is those are going to be summed together, and you're going to have 9 plus 5. So it's going to be 14. You're going to be 14 yellow books into that progress. And one thing that kind of sucks is that it says right here, if progress exceeds the max, the surplus will be discarded. So let's say you have one with Grudge 9 and you have one with Grudge 15. Well, if you add 9 and 15, that's 24. So basically what happens is you'll end up getting Grudge 12, but those extra 4 that you bought over 20, that will just be discarded. So you don't get the value back. You don't get the books back. It kind of sucks that it does that. But that is the direction that they've gone with. Now, the next thing that I wanted to cover is card books and card enhancements. So with your card book, right, it says Union here. What this means is let's say you had Balthor on one character that was 1 awakening, right? So that basically took 2 Balthor cards to make. And you on the other server, you had Balthor awaken to 2, right? So that took 1, the one you started off with, the second one to awaken it once, and you needed 2 more cards to awaken it to 2, right? So that's a total of 4 on this one and 2 on this one, right? So what that means is you're going to combine those 2 cards and you'll have a total of 6 Balthor cards worth of awakening. So that's how that's going to work. It's going to take the cards that you have already in your books, let's say Balthor, right? And combine those 2 together. Now, all of the remaining cards, let's say you have, a Balthor 4 and another Balthor 4, right? If you combine those 2 together, that will definitely be more than enough to be Balthor 5. But the problem is it's going to have some excess cards. What's going to happen to those cards is, unfortunately, they're just going to be removed. You're not going to get like card EXP for them or anything like that. Those excess cards that you had when those 2 cards combined, unfortunately, they will be removed. So that's what's going to happen with cards that you've already registered. Now, the next thing is the card EXP. So when you go to the book, you can go and enhance your cards, right? You can go into here, enhance, and add EXP to a card to enhance it. So let's take a look at Theamine, right? Or sorry, let's do one I have enhanced right here, Varkin. If I add EXP to it, this bar goes up. Now, what's going to happen is when you add the EXP to the cards themselves, they're not just going to, add together. It's not like if you had Varkin at 10k EXP on one server, that gets added with the Varkin with the 20k EXP on the other server. Unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. What's going to happen with the card EXP is, if the card is enhanced, the highest enhanced card among the merge servers will remain and the others will remove. So basically, if you had the same situation where you had Varkin, one of them was at 20k, the other one was at 10k, well, only the one with the 20k is going to stick, and the 10k one is just going to be removed. It's not going to add the EXP up. It's just going to remove the lower one and keep the higher one, which is kind of annoying, but again, that's the route that they've chosen to go with. So if you have any cards that are, have EXP in them, they suggest that you enhance them, because when the card EXP gets merged, only the higher one will stay. The next thing I wanted to cover has to do with the Bifrost. Unfortunately, with the Bifrost, we are getting everything in terms of the Bifrost information reset. So what I mean by that is, in your character, when you go into your Bifrost, right, you have these Bifrosts set up. You have them registered. Unfortunately, what's going to happen is every single Bifrost is going to be reset. All of these saved Bifrosts are going to be gone, and you will need to go register them again. It's definitely the biggest bummer out of this entire update, because heck, I didn't want to set up those Unas in the first place, those Lopangs, and now I gotta go set them up all over again. It's really frustrating, but that is the case, and that's the route that they've gone with. So we're gonna have to go and reset and get all of our Bifrost set up all over again. And when it comes to this Bifrost slots, it's interesting because these are going to be calculated based on your roster level changes and your Ignia tokens. So basically, because these are the 2 things that affect how many Bifrost slots that you have, the roster level that you end up going with and the level of Ignia tokens that you have on your roster afterwards will combine, and then, after that, it will do the calculations and figure out how many Bifrosts you actually have. With roster level, it's just going to be the max roster level. So the highest level roster level that you have between the 2 servers, that will be, that will be the one. And with Ignia tokens, they're going to do a little bit of math and kind of combine the Adventurous Tomes, and then based on that, we'll calculate out how many Ignia tokens you actually have, and then give you the Bifrost based on that. And then the next thing that's very important is your training camp. So when the reset comes, when the merge comes, and I don't know why it says September 8th, this is definitely a typo. When the merge comes, your training camp progress will be reset. So if you have any characters in training camp already, before that reset, before that merge, please take them out of training camp, because that EXP will be lost if you don't take them out. And then we have mounts. So if you have any mounts that you've registered onto your character on one server and the other server as well, well, those mounts, if you have the same mounts, right, the duplicates will be removed. But certain duplicates, the ones that you paid for, right, they will be sent to you via the storage, the universal storage. So for Founders Pack mounts, if you had one on, let's say, Roandel, and you had one on Mari, well, one, they're going to be combined. You're going to only have one mount, but the extra mount that you had will be turned into a mount selection chest that will be untradeable. Same with other duplicate mounts. You'll have that mount selection chest, and then it'll be untradeable. The one exception is that if you have the Golden Cloud mount on both servers, you will get a tradable Golden Cloud mount in your storage, in your universal storage. And you can actually take that and trade it. So that is very interesting that they've gone with that route for the Golden Cloud. And then the last thing I wanted to cover is the Valtan Extreme Gate progress. So how this is going to work is that if you have characters on both rosters that can do Valtan Extreme, the progress for the Valtan Extreme, the furthest one, is going to get prioritized. So if you have a Valtan Hard and a Valtan Normal, the progress for the Valtan Normal, the Valtan Hard is going to get prioritized. And if you've done Valtan on one character, the other character cannot do Valtan anymore. So those rewards and things like that are going to be combined, and the highest one is going to be prioritized. So that's it. That's about everything that I think is important or confusing that I wanted to cover in more detail. Again, if you want to see everything at a high level, there is going to be this Excel spreadsheet that I am going to list in the description below, just so you can take a look at it and see it at a high level and not have to look through all that information. But as always, if you are excited for this, please let me know down in the comment section below. And also, if you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit the like button, hit the sub button, ring the bell for notifications, and as always, I stream every single night on twitch.tv/MisoXShiru. So hopefully I'll see you guys there starting at 10 p.m. PST. But if not, hopefully I'll see y'all on the next YouTube video. All right, guys, peace out.